It's Friday, September 12th, and you're watching the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network, presented by FanDuel. I'm your host today, Jason Cooper, alongside my producer, Jacob Gramenya, and we got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be running through a couple things. First, Paul McDonald's going to come on. We're going to talk a little bit about some soccer, international break, EPL matchups, Manchester Derby, all that kind of fun stuff. Then we have Austin Mock rolling, and he's going to roll through some of his bets for the weekend, talk about games he likes, and just talk some college football in general. Then finally, we're going to close out the show with G-Stack George. George will be bringing us through his Survivor picks. We're going to talk about our Survivor win last week on the Jags. Great pick from us. We're going to try and make it the entire season, 18 weeks, and see if we can win a Survivor contest together, myself and George. Before we get into today's show, quick reminder, do me a favor. Smash that like button if this is your second time here or third time here. If this is your first time here, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you don't hit the subscribe button before I finish the sentence, then hopefully I can earn it by the end of this show. So do us a favor, like button, subscribe button, and then also share it with a friend. We're like very, very close to 3,800 subscribers. I believe we're 5 subscribers away. So any friends you can bring into the show would be a big help for us. And if you like the show, it helps us out. So if you do that, that'd be great for us. And then before we get into today's show, a quick reminder, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at FanDuel. The Hammer Daily is brought to you by FanDuel. Football fans, the wait is over. The NFL is back, and the best place to kick off the season is on FanDuel, because this Sunday, FanDuel is giving all customers a no-sweat NFL bet. From money line to player props to same game parlays, your no-sweat bet can be used on any NFL wager type. And if it doesn't win, you'll get a bonus bet back. So why don't you go take a swing on FanDuel? Me personally, I'm going to look at some Tyquan Thornton inverse correlation stuff. I'm waiting for the lines to be posted on him right now, but I really think that the Chiefs like to use him deep, and I think that was potentially the plan for Xavier Worthy. So I believe Worthy's going to be out. I believe Tyquan Thornton is going to get a couple deep shots. So under receptions, over receiving yards, waiting for that to be posted right now on FanDuel. So this season, make FanDuel your go-to app for any snap. Just visit FanDuel.com/forward progress to kick off the NFL season with a no-sweat bet. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. 90 plus and physically located in Ontario, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Refund issues. Non-withdrawable bonus bet expires 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/Shannon, Connecticut. Call Connex Ontario 1-866-531-2600 or visit connexontario.ca. And make sure you use FanDuel. Great product. You know what else is a good product?
What?
This new product called, it's not really new, but BetStamp Pro. My favorite addition that they've made this past season is they added soccer there. So if you're looking for some bets to make, you can use BetStamp Pro to do so. And right now, if you're ready to level up with real betting tools, this is your entry point. The BetStamp main market screen gives you professional grade access for only $99 a month on the annual plan. It's built for speed and precision with 150 plus sportsbook. And this season, they've integrated bet tracking so you can send wagers directly from your odds screen right into your BetStamp account. Because you're listening to The Hammer, instead of the normal 7-day trial, you'll get a full 14-day free trial to test it out. Don't wait. Scan the QR code on screen right now or click the link in the description to claim that today. I had to bring that up because, it was a good addition to the
fantastic game-changing addition.
Game-changing. Game is not gone on BetStamp Pro, but the game might be gone in some other instances. Let's bring up Paul McDonald. He's the founder of footballtransfers.com. You've seen him published on BBC Sports, Sporting Life, and Goal.com. You can follow him on Twitter at PaulMacD, MacDFC. Paul, how's it going? One more time. Sorry, we had you muted there for a second.
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Good to see you. Let's get things started with the World Cup qualifying. Last international window is closed, and we've seen things become a little bit more clear. Now we've seen some new teams in the fold that haven't made the World Cup before, Jordan, Uzbekistan. What's your biggest takeaways of qualifying so far, and what do you feel like are your biggest surprises?
Well, I think it's difficult to try and wrap our head around the fact that we've got 48 teams in this tournament rather than 32 in the past, which means we are going to get more teams from the likes of Asia and Africa qualifying for the first time. And there's going to be some names there that even big football fans probably won't even know. You mentioned Jordan and Uzbekistan, but even in the African qualifying, there's been some shocks already, and big nations such as Nigeria could be really struggling to get there. So whilst there's more spaces and more things available, it's still very competitive, particularly in Europe as well. Like the likes of England are looking to cruise through, but Germany and Italy maybe not so much. It's going to be a lot closer for them. And in the European section, only the top team goes through. The second team has to go into a playoff. So there's still much to play for in the next 2 rounds of internationals, which will take place in October and November of this year.
Yeah, so go ahead.
I've got a question, actually, in regards to Italy and their struggles in World Cup qualifying. Norway has been fantastic so far in the World Cup qualifying process, so I wanted to kind of button and ask, how much of Norway's success do you think is real? Despite having all these talented strikers, one as talented as Holland, they've always struggled to qualify for the World Cup. Do you think what they've done so far, winning, I think it was 11-1 against Moldova, and they've beaten Italy 3-0 in this campaign already, is all this real for Norway?
I think so, yeah. I saw a fair bit of them because they were in Scotland's qualifying group for Euro 24. I think we were quite fortunate to beat them away from home. 2 goals quite late on in that match settled it. So I think that this is a good generation, not only of Norwegian players, for Scandinavian players in general. And that makes it all the more surprising, actually, that Sweden are one of the teams that are struggling to qualify at the minute. They lost in Kosovo during the week, despite the fact that they have nearly a $200 million strike force. And Isak, who's now at Liverpool, and Gyökeres, who's at Arsenal, they're really struggling to put things together at the minute. And it would be a shame to see such a good, talented player like Isak not make the tournament, because that's something that Haaland has experienced recently. And if he's going to be there, it would be good to see Isak there too.
All right, sweet. And I was going to ask if your opinion on the new format so far, but I'm guessing based on your responses here, you quite like it.
We'll see. 32 teams is a pretty perfect format. 2 goes through, it's last 16.
Yeah.
But the nation game is so much more competitive now, particularly a lot of the African nations that are way better than they used to be. And your Ghanas and your Moroccos and stuff like that, they are qualifying quite easily still. But there are good teams underneath that probably deserve a spot in the world stage. So I'm not a big fan of what's going to probably the 3-team format actually at the tournament. But I do think that more teams, to make it a truly global tournament, I do think more teams deserve to be there.
Yeah, I think that's a great point here. Let's flip over and talk some EPL. I mean, you've been pretty vocal on Twitter with your displeasure with the quality of football surrounding the Premier League here. I believe, here, if you want to bring up this tweet, you said this might be the weekend the EPL jump at the shark. Appalling quality across the board, and that's with nearly $3 billion being spent on this selection of dullards. Football is an awful place if you really dare to peer beneath the veil. I always see, listen, I'm not a big football fan, I'm not a big soccer fan, but I always see on like my Instagram reels, my TikTok feed, game's gone. The game is gone. So how do you feel about the game's gone? Is that a real thing? What's your opinion on the EPL? How do we get to this point?
I think it's a combination of factors. I think that, one, the EPL is just so dominant from a financial perspective now. They spend 3 times as much as the next league, Serie A, in the transfer window in the summer. 3.6 billion euros. I think that's like $4 billion or something in total. An insane amount of money, never been matched before. And I don't think they're getting a lot of bang for their buck. I don't think the guys that they're buying are anywhere near worth that value. The money that you used to spend, 60, 70 million on a player who was at the finished article, now you're spending that on someone who is a work in progress. And that's something that certainly can be said of the guys that Sesko at Man United. Newcastle spending 80 million on Voltemida from Stuttgart, who only scored 12 Bundesliga goals last season. It used to be that you could spend that type of money and get a guy who scored 40 goals last season, and it's just not the case. And I think we are witnessing a moment in history where we've had Messi and Ronaldo for so long, 2 of the greatest players of all time. There is a bit of a void right now, and it'll be interesting to see what fills that in the next couple of years, because I think teams are playing pretty generic football at the minute. A lot of them kind of mimicking certain ways of how Pep used to play in post-Pep. And I think we're probably in line for a tactical overhaul of the game at some point.
All right, game's gone. Apparently, hopefully we can get that tactical overhaul soon. Let's flip over and talk some EPL matches this weekend. Do you have any game that you're circling on this Saturday slate here? I want to save the Manchester Derby for later, but any big games you're looking at, whether it be West Ham, Tottenham, Everton, Sunderland, anything you like in terms of betting or just want to watch for pleasure?
very interested in the Arsenal Nottingham Forest game. Obviously, Nottingham Forest sacked their successful manager Nuno during the break, and they've hired ex-Spurs boss Ange Postecoglou to come in. And I think the most intriguing thing about this is the way that Nottingham Forest are set up as a side and the way that their back four has played under Nuno is probably the antithesis. In fact, you probably couldn't pick a more opposite manager than Postecoglou in terms of the tactical way that he wants to lay out his teams and how he wants his centre-backs to play football. So it'll be very interesting to see how that dynamic works with a very different approach, high press, high intensity, which is not the way that Nottingham Forest have played under Nuno at all, actually. And his first game, baptism of fire, is against an Arsenal side who really underwhelmed against Liverpool in the last game before the break, and they'll be looking to put on a show and prove their title credentials again in this one. So I think that's the big game of Saturday. It'll be very interesting to see how Forest set up and how if Postecoglou's even indeed had any time to put any tactical stamp on this team, having only joined a few days ago.
Yeah, three-way money line right now, minus 280 for Arsenal, plus 410 for the tie, and plus 750 for Nottingham Forest to win the match. Any other games that you're interested in that you want to touch on, or do you want to just dive right into the fun one, the Manchester Derby, and go from there?
Let's go for the Derby, but I have to say it's not exactly been a fun one to watch in recent seasons. It's been pretty dull, and I'm expecting this to be the same. If you're looking for it from a betting perspective, these type of big fixtures right after an international break, they tend to be quite low scoring because players are tired, they're coming back from long journeys in some cases, and they tend to be quite underwhelming and quite low scoring. So I think this one could be more of the same. I don't think either manager would complain if this finished a draw, and that's not exactly the best for the viewing audience at home, but I just think it's a good result for both. I think City have lost 2 in a row. They've got a really poor record against United of late. They need to steady things a little bit, and Pep is still trying to work out what his best formation and indeed starting lineup for his new team is. And Amorim is still just under a bit of pressure, and a point away at City would be a welcome one for him. So if I was a betting man, I would say keep this to low goals. And even though City look a really good price on the money line, I think that a draw might be the best outcome here.
Yeah, I think the draw right now is plus 300. Plus 300 for the tie, and then I think I saw the under 3.5 is around minus 170-ish if you're looking for total goals in the match. And hey, maybe if you want to have fun, parlay it together. Jacob, what do you want to mention?
Just further on the Derby, just wanted to ask a bit about kind of the positions the managers are in right now. So City obviously haven't been as dominant as they were for a while. So I guess first question, I'll ask 2 in 1. First question would be, why have City struggled to create as many chances as they have in the past? Second question would be, for United, do you think Amorim has what it takes to lead this club out of this dark period?
The first one on Guardiola is that I think because of the amount of money that Liverpool spent in this window, it's went a little bit under the radar that if you combined Man City's spending and the spending they made this summer, it's almost an unprecedented spend for any team in a single year. And he's basically building a new team. He's lost De Bruyne, his key playmaker. He's obviously got Rodri just coming back from that serious injury that he had. Bernardo Silva's getting older as well. So they're trying to find a new dimension and a new way to feed talent. And Pep just hasn't worked it out yet. And he doesn't know how to fit those pieces in. And he hasn't had a consistent run yet. I believe Marmoush will be injured this weekend, who's actually been one of the best performing signings that he's made, which is a blow for them as well. I think just Pep's working it out. And this is a new transition of tactics and a new iteration of this City team. When it comes to Amorim, I don't know, man. I just think, how much time can you give a guy? He's been in there 7 months, 8 months. The squad that he took over was just not in any way set up to play 3-4-3. So he's having to basically rebuild in every position. And it does take time to do that. But what he's done this summer is he's put most of his eggs in the one basket by buying 3 centre forwards or 3 attacking players at the expense probably of a central defender and a central midfielder that the team really needed. So I think a couple of more bad results, because obviously they lost to Grimsby in the Cup, which was a horror show. Another couple of bad results, and he's going to under severe pressure again, which is why I think he'll keep it tight this weekend and try and eke out a draw from this one.
All right, sounds good. Paul, I appreciate all your insight and knowledge on the great game. Hopefully game's not gone. Hopefully we can get it back soon enough. You can follow Paul on Twitter at PaulMacDFC. Paul, thanks for joining us. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
All right, have a good one. All right, let's get some ones in the chat for Paul. Ones in the chat if you're a soccer fan, and ones in the chat if you're ready to get on to our next guest. Before we get on to our next guest, I want to quickly remind you guys, 5 p.m. Eastern time today, I guess, not really tonight. Depends. Is 5 p.m. nighttime?
I don't think so.
Not yet.
I mean,
only in the winter.
no. Yeah, I guess so.
Only
Soon.
in the winter.
We're getting there, man.
Yeah.
It's getting dark.
Well, anyways, Joey Kanish, Brad Powers, Hit the Books, 5 p.m. Eastern time over on the Hit the Books YouTube channel. Brad's insight's always off the charts. Kanish, I mean, I think he's just there for someone to laugh at. I don't know. No, honestly,
I think of them like
the
the hip hop duo Public Enemy, where you have Chuck D as Brad Powers, the one that's really knowledgeable, but you need to have that sort of relief and energy on the side, like Flava Flav, and I think that's what Joey Kanish provides, because perhaps it'd be Chuck D's a little too bland on his own. Yeah. He needs to have that extra Flava Flav to really get things popping with the masses. I think that's the good duo.
That is an incredible pull. All right, reminder, if you want to tune into the show, it's 5 p.m. Eastern time over on the Hit the Books network, and then also best bets will be given out as well. So if you're looking for some bets for the college football weekend, for some Saturday bets, Friday bets, you're going to go over there. But you don't want to go over there right now. You're going to want to wait, because we have Austin Mock coming in right now. He's a writer over at The Athletic. You see him on the Forward Progress Thursday show, and I know he's a fan of I don't want to call him a fan of the Green Bay Packers, but he's high on the Green Bay Packers. Austin, come on up here. How's it going? How do you feel after being right about the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, they were one of my bets. I didn't have them out on the show, but I did recommend the -3. Once we got down to -3 flat, we're underrating somehow the Micah Parsons impact. I don't know. I didn't think that was possible, because we're trashing on the Cowboys for getting rid of him. But yeah, I'm assuming that we're going to be caught up on the Packers next week.
Yeah, there was at one point, I think he had 18 snaps going into the third quarter, and he had 6 pressures on 18 snaps, which is absolutely insane. 4 hurries, one QB hit, and then 1 sack. It's like this guy is just a pure disruptor. I think they had 17 total pressures at the time. So it's like he's contributing to a third of the pressures while playing less than half of the snaps. He's just an absolute beast. All right. I know we could talk college football, we could talk NFL all day, but I have you here for college football stuff. Let's start off with the South Carolina game, because you we've seen it. Oh, we saw that game open up at South Carolina -6.5 against Vanderbilt, but we've seen it come down all the way to that number of, it's 3.5 right now. It was 3 at one point, 3.5 -106. So a juice plus 3.5 for Vanderbilt. It seems like you like South Carolina a little bit at the 3 number. Are you okay taking it at the 3.5 -106? And why do you like South Carolina? And why do you think this number has gone so far since opening?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, because Vanderbilt's, I don't know if they're this darling in the market because they beat Alabama last year or whatever. I think they're definitely improved from what we're used to seeing from a Vanderbilt squad, but I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. I actually was low on South Carolina coming into the year, and I thought I think they're ranked 12th or 13th in the country right now. I think that's absurd. But I can't get to this number. I don't know when I'm going to get into this game. I haven't bet it yet, but I like 3.5. I mean, -106 there is a good price. I'm going to sit around and kind of wait. I'm fine with taking it, but if you want to wait, you can definitely do that. But I will be on South Carolina in some capacity before this game kicks off. I just don't think Vanderbilt is there in terms of where they are in the SEC, and I think the perception of them, if they didn't beat Alabama last year, is a little bit different. So yeah, I'm liking the Gamecocks to win at home in this one.
All right, Gamecocks to win at home. You have them at -3. I believe it's one of the better prices in market. Let me just quickly whip over to BetStamp Pro and check that out. Yeah, one of the better prices in market there. If you're looking at the 3.5, that -106. I can't find anything better at the 3.5 number, and then I just see some juiced 3s out there. Let's flip over and talk the Memphis game, because you have a similar opinion there. So I'll just give you the floor and you can talk us through it.
Yeah, last week I believe on Friday, I think it might be maybe a little premonition to what's going to happen later today. Memphis got bet from 13.5. They went over to a touchdown, went over a touchdown or 2 touchdown in -14. Maybe we'll have a little bit of that today. But it's kind of the same thing, not a rush to bet the 3.5 here. I have some room with my numbers similar to South Carolina in that I just think this price is too short. I don't know if it's because Troy played well against Clemson, and we're like, hey, this is the team that is better than we expect. I just don't think these teams are that close. And I make this game closer, to 6. So a little bit of room to go, but I'm totally fine with grabbing the 3.5 at the current price. Maybe Memphis catches some late week money like they did last week, but yeah, again, numbers based, it's kind of boring in the analysis, but I can't ignore when my model thinks that this should be about a field goal higher. I can't pass up that value, so I do like Memphis quite a bit.
Yeah, so I guess kind of touched on it a little bit, but we saw like kind of big, again, both these games, big movements. They opened up at 6.5 and came all the way down to 3.5. What's contributing to this market movement here from your eyes? Is it just like people liking Troy coming off last week? Like what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, it could be that it's tough early in the season.
Yeah,
it's one of the things that I, as modeling and how much do you factor in those early season games? We're only 2 games into the season. My thing is like, yeah, Troy played well against Clemson last week. There was some, I think, flukiness that happened in that first half. Clemson was a little bit of sleepwalking maybe, but also Clemson's been kind of disappointing to what they were expected to in the first half. In the preseason, Troy only beat Nicholls State 38-20 to start the year. So like I don't think this is a team that we're like, hey, they played with Clemson, we should upgrade their power rating a lot. So I guess that's where my market, but if you're valuing that early season result more than I am, I guess I can understand why this number would get bet down. I wouldn't be rushing to bet Memphis at the 6.5 either. It's just one of those things. This is a pretty big, significant market move down to 3.5 here. And I'm just, eventually there's a bottom. And I'm on the other side of the early week movement against Memphis here.
All right, let's move on and talk. You like a total in a game. It's Western Michigan at Illinois, a game that hasn't moved. The total hasn't moved that much over the last week or so. So I won't have to bother you about market moves and asking where it's coming from. But yeah, the 50.5. What side do you like here? Do you like the over or under in this game?
Yeah, I'm rooting for points here.
Right.
Opposite of what the NFL showed us last week. But yeah, Illinois, I think definitely against lower competition. I think their offense can be a little sneaky. Luke Altmaier throwing the ball. I think they're actually kind of one of those teams that like there's a threshold that I think they can be a really efficient offense. Bielema is a good coach. He knows how to get the most out of his teams. I think it's where you want to worry about Illinois. And again, I think they're a team, they're ranked 9th. I think they're kind of overrated, but against these bad teams, I think or lesser talented teams, I think they are kind of quote unquote a wagon in a way because they're just well coached. They have more talent. I think Bielema gets the most out of them. I think they're going to score. And then Western Michigan, they played super slow last week. Again, I don't know if it's similar early season. Look at their pace numbers. They were winning in that game. They slowed things down. They were losing in their week 1 game against Michigan State. They were losing. They played a little bit faster. So I don't know if there's a little bit of too much of an overreaction to the slow pace that they played at last week in their game. That's kind of where my model. I don't think they're going to be a slow team or a super slow team going forward. So a little bit of a pace maybe adjustment with Western Michigan, but I do think Illinois can put up some points in this one.
Yeah, over right now, 15.5 minus 110 if you're looking towards that. The total points for Illinois, 38.5 minus 106 towards the over. Western Michigan, 10.5 minus 106 towards the over. If you're worried about, it doesn't seem like you're worried about Western Michigan's pace of play, but like, would you at any point want to click any of these team total overs or just kind of stick with the full game?
Yeah, it's tough. What'd you say it was 38.5?
38.5 for Illinois, minus 106.
Yeah, like that's
a big number.
I don't love like sprinting to the window and hoping a team scores 40.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that's tough. I do like to have both teams contributing to this, which saying that now it'll be 49-0 Illinois. But yeah, it's one of those things like if I'm super unsure about another like the other team, then maybe that's something that I'll target. But I usually don't dive too much into the team total, or if I'm super like convinced that a team won't score. But hey, I'll take their team total under or something like that. That's kind of my angle. But if I'm not if I'm decently confident on both sides, I would just stay to the main market and not go with one side on the team total.
All right, fair enough. Let's talk Georgia, Tennessee, one of the bigger games on the slate this week. Probably the biggest game, or one of the biggest games on the slate. You have an opinion on the game. You haven't really told me what it is, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts. We've actually ran through that game a couple times. I like how many people we have on this show who talk college football, because we get different opinions and different perspectives. So I'm curious to hear your perspective on this game.
Yeah, I'm not rushing to bet Georgia at 4.5. I think we had 3.5 early in the week. My number's right in that range, so I don't really have a numbers edge. But subjectively, I just don't know if I'm a believer in Tennessee getting into the big boys of college football. Right? I don't know if they're like a full blue blood yet with this team. I know the Nico drama and everything, and everybody's kind of saying like, oh hey, they won the trade with UCLA with Aguilar being their quarterback now. But I'm still a little skeptical. Also, the other angle, again, not a huge buyer of this, but Kirby Smart's had Josh Heupel's number in their matchups, so there's something there. We obviously know Kirby's one of the best defensive minds in all of college football. So I just kind of like the pretender thing. We kind of saw it with Tennessee against Ohio State last year. Like, I think when you jump into the big boy club, I don't know if I'm quite ready to put Tennessee to that. So subjectively, I like Georgia. I'm going to try maybe live to find myself with some Georgia action, but don't love it at the current price. Yeah. But I do think maybe there's maybe Georgia blowout I can see happening.
All right, maybe we'll keep an eye on the Georgia-Tennessee game live and look to click Georgia at a good price. I have a question for you, because you're talking about watching this live and betting it live. We've had some controversy on this show because a couple guests we've had, and it wasn't just one, multiple guests have said that they prefer not to watch the games live, and they watch the games kind of after the fact. They'll watch it on Monday or Tuesday. They said they have things to do on Saturday. It's some people like to get their work done, see family, all those sorts of things. How do you consume college football on a Saturday? Are you like me, where you're situated between two couch cushions for about 12 hours straight, only getting up to go to the bathroom, get water, or eat?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on the weekend. Like, it's I always say it's like it depends on your family situation and everything. Like I am NFL. I'm doing that. I am sitting. I'm watching all. It's hard to like
do both.
Your family and be like, hey, by the way, from Saturday at like 11:30 a.m. till midnight, and also on Sunday from 12:30 p.m. till midnight, I cannot be bothered. So Saturday is definitely a day that I'm going to be more flexible with that. But if I have nothing, if there's big games, like a couple weeks we have Penn State, Oregon, and Georgia, Alabama at the same time, that'll be two screens, me sitting watching that. So yeah, it's kind of like I pick and choose my battles. Like if there's a slow weekend, all right, hey, let's maybe I don't need to watch a lot of these. And like if it's group of five stuff, it's hard for me to like. I'm not grinding it. I'm not Brad Powers here grinding the spring games or anything like that. But I got to balance work-life balance, right?
Yeah, fair.
That's my college football take. Fair
enough. But I will have to say, South Florida might be throwing you a little bit of a wrench there with avoiding the Group 5.
Yeah, they're. I'm interested to see what happens. Miami's going to be a big test. I know they beat Boise, and that's fun. But a little bit of a different talent and trench play. I think it's going to be the big one there. I know we had some early Miami. I would strongly think Miami wins that game pretty handily. But if South Florida does it, they'll have my attention. I'll tune into more of that.
All right, fair enough. Before I let you out, you wanted to talk a little bit big picture college football. You want to talk about the playoff race? I feel like it's wide open. Couple SEC teams favored there to make it, and I think only one of the three Big Ten teams is around the 150 to plus 300 range, so it's a little bit tougher for them. So, walk me through this to make a playoff scenario for the college football championship.
Yeah, so the SEC is super, super interesting for me. They have three teams right now, if you look in the betting market, that are favored to make the playoff. I think Texas is actually slightly overrated in the market. So I would actually throw them in the other way. And my numbers do have them as a dog to make it. But they have, let's see, what do I have the number here? 7 teams between plus 150 to plus 300 to make the playoff. And 3 teams that are favored, like I said. So wide open for what these extra spots are to make the playoff. So I'm super interested to kind of see how that goes. I don't know. I don't want to say that they're like everybody was talking about how the Big 12, everybody's so close together and like anybody can win. Like that's kind of feeling like how the SEC is, but at obviously a much like tier up than from where the Big 12 is. So super interested in that. And then the other, big conference, the Big 10, Penn State and Ohio State are favored a ton to heavy favorites to make the playoff. And then Oregon's kind of in that smaller favorite to make it. And then there's only one other team in that 150 to 300 range, and that's Michigan, and USC is right behind that. I know I wanted to throw them in there for you,
Appreciate
Jason,
it.
It just shows the depth of the two conferences right now as possible playoff contenders versus not. But the Big Ten might be in a better position for, those top teams that are kind of like the locks to get in, if you will. So I'm interested to see how that comes down to with the wild card race. And the last thing, quick note, the committee made some comments about the strength of schedule. We had that drama last year with Alabama and SMU. I will be very interested to see if that is adjusted for this year. That'll be something that I'll be watching closely when the rankings come out in November.
All right. So I guess the strength of schedule, they're saying it should matter more now or less. I
think they're going towards that route. Penn State blew the doors off of SMU in a home game. I'm interested to see if you see like Big Ten and SEC teams like all at the top, and like even if there's Big 12 or ACC teams that are winning, like Florida State's an interesting team going forward because of their preseason expectations. I'm interested to see if they start giving more benefit of the doubt to like a 9-3 SEC team rather than like a 10-2 ACC or even higher than that, depending on how it breaks.
Yeah, I think that's probably better for the game as well, just because like we want to see higher quality competition in the playoffs. Austin, I appreciate you joining us today. Any last words, any last thoughts, anything you're looking forward to this weekend in terms of something that you want to see from a team? So it could be a team, it could be a unit, it could be an offense, a defense, how a coach adjusts, but like anything you have circled on this slate saying, I want to know more about this. What is it and why?
Yeah, Notre Dame, Texas A&M is probably the game. The more like Notre Dame's offense kind of looked rough against Miami, but maybe Miami's trench play is awesome, and then Texas A&M is kind of always that team that's like kind of there but not. Like, can they put themselves in? So that'll be a big game, either side really, of getting information. And obviously, if Texas A&M pulls off the upset, then we have a huge shakeup in the playoff race. So that game's probably holistically the big one for the weekend.
All right, awesome. Austin, it was a pleasure talking to you. We'll talk soon.
Yep. Thanks, Jason. Have a good one.
All right, see ya. Put ones in the chat for Austin. Please do us a big favor. Get that chat going. Austin always providing us with that college football knowledge, which we love and appreciate. George, G-Stack George, is coming on in just a second. But before we do, I have an announcement to make. I know you guys are going to be sad to hear this, but I'm so sorry. I'm busy. I can't make it. I'm not going to be doing the Saturday prop show, but have no fear. Hitman will still be there. Jacob will be in my place, and we will still be releasing 3 props on the Forward Progress YouTube channel. If you've missed the show, if you missed last year's show as well, you want to be there live. It's around noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. We actually don't have not this week.
This week.
You talked to Hitman.
So 10:30 a.m. Eastern time this week.
I am going to. Me and Hitman have to have a chat because we set a time range. I said, Hitman, I'm tired of having to keep my Saturday mornings wide open for you, having to wait and sit and twiddle my thumbs. We said 12 to 1. It's going to be at that time, but not today. Not Saturday. Apparently, it's at 10:30.
He's busy, man.
Well, I'm busy too. I'm busy. What is it crazy?
I guess I'm not.
Is it crazy to have a show scheduled for like a 1 hour time range every week? I gotta talk to Hitman about this.
Right in the primetime slot of EPL Saturday wasn't ideal, but
you should have just told him no.
I'll help you out.
No, you should have just told him no. All right. Anyway, so 10:30 a.m. should usually be noon to 1. But yeah, you're gonna want to be there because if you missed last year's,
if you're not there live, you're not getting.
You're not getting the number. It's as simple as that. You might be able to get Jacob's SGP. But you're not getting the 3 props that
you'll be able to get my SGP.
you're not gonna get the props that Hitman gives out. So yeah, 10:30 this week. Best way to be notified though is subscribe to Forward Progress, hit the notification bell, and then whenever we go live, you'll know. You will know. You can do the same with the channel here, even though we're not gonna be like, hey man, we're not gonna be sporadic all over the place, picking a time, different times every week. It's gonna be for this show, noon every week, live. So yeah, you probably don't need to hit the notification bell, but you might as well. Is George here with us right now? Or I think. Oh, okay. I'll just tee him up. I think he's here. Yeah,
tee him up.
He's definitely here. He's the director of marketing at the Hammer Betting Network, and he's Edgerrin Cooper's biggest fan. G-Stack George, get on in here. How's it going?
Jason Cooper, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm doing well.
I don't know about you, but all I'm hearing from the time schedule change on Saturday is Hitman has some respect for Jacob's time, but not yours.
No, actually, I would have
the opposite.
I would have preferred if it was at noon because I could watch the 10 p.m. Premier League games. The 10 a.m. Sorry.
He's golfing tomorrow, isn't he?
Most definitely. Most definitely. One day we're probably going to get him on the golf course live on his phone. We're going to be getting him
from
between
a golf
tee
cart.
shots.
I could see that for sure.
We'll have it in person. One day, Rob and him will be playing golf, and it'll be on this channel. It'll be great. One day.
Yeah.
I promise.
Eventually.
Not anytime soon. One day.
All right. Let's.
He's a lot better at giving out props than I am too. Next week, I'm just giving out Hitman's props as my own.
George, I will say you might be. I don't want to say that you're better than him at picking games, but you definitely were at picking that Thursday night game. You flag planted. You went to the moon. You flag planted. Green Bay -3. That's my pick. How do you feel after that big win? For those who didn't watch our watch along last night, George put his proverbial nuts on the table and said, "F the market. I know what's going to happen this week. I have the script. Give me Green Bay -3." How do you feel about that win?
I'll tell you something. Besides feeling vindicated, I'm on the moon right now. This studio's built on the moon, and I have a telescope aimed at the Earth. And right now, there's some spaceships loading up with people ready to join me here. I have a feeling Green Bay, the island on the moon, is going to get a lot bigger after this week.
Island's a lot bigger. The population is definitely going to boom because I'll be seeing you there in a couple of hours. We had a great game last night. There wasn't really too much to talk about. Obviously, like if you've been listening to George throughout the week, you kind of had, I don't want to say had the script, but like you had kind of an idea what was going on with their contain. I thought the biggest surprise of that game, and you can prove me, you can tell me if I'm wrong here, was how good Jeff Hafley schemed everything up, because I thought he did a really good job. That was, I think, my biggest question mark with this defense. I know they had the talent, but is the coordinator talent there? And I think he's proved himself and separated himself as one of the best defensive coordinators in the league.
Yeah, I also, case on Nixon, like I flashed every so often, number 25 would literally always make a play for the ball and get a pass deflected, and then he'd do his seatbelt that he just locked up to the receiver. I enjoyed it. There was always question marks about what their corner room looks like, and pass rush negates a lot of that. But he also was very good last night.
Yeah, they all work off of each other. It was really, really cool to see. All right, let's get into some Survivor chat and let's talk about this.
How did we do last week? We gave them such a good play, didn't we?
Bring it up. I think so. We don't have ownership percentage. I wonder if we can ask Mike to add that to the graphic, like ownership percentage on just like some, I don't know what website we use.
For most pools, it was anywhere from 4 to 6%.
Yeah.
We picked a thin team. We never sweat it. It was only it was a small spread. I feel pretty good. I feel really good that we got Jacksonville through, and we never sweated.
I know, and it's obviously you can never get mad at a win, but we were so close to seeing a big chunk of people eliminated, which was a little frustrating to say the least. But Cleveland couldn't pull it out for us. New Orleans couldn't pull it out for us, but most people made it through, and you did as well if you followed us here on our weekly Survivor edition. We picked Jacksonville for those who don't know. But George, let's get into this week. Last week we separated things by categories. You sent me a couple, the 3 categories. It's games with a decent level of comfort, games that are potential landmines, and then games I'm more confident in than the numbers suggest. And you don't have any games in there, but I'm going to make a case for one of your landmines to be put in there, and we'll talk it through. Let's start with the games with a decent level of comfort here.
Yeah, so every week seems to have a theme.
Mm-hmm.
This week, I see a lot of landmines in trouble,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a feeling a lot of people will try to find salvation on a safe island. Probably the safest island. It's going to be the most picked game is Cleveland at Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, this is the game of 2 0-2 teams that should be 2-0. Probably going to be the number 1 selection in Survivor pools. Like, I'd almost bet on it for sure. Like, from a curiosity standpoint, I want to see how this Cleveland defense looks against this Baltimore offense. Like, you know how Cleveland got panned for their pick of Carson Schweschinger in the second round?
Mm-hmm.
He looked fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like they found their replacement for JOK, and I'm curious how like the Baltimore O line and run game looks against this front seven from Cleveland. Because the Browns poured a lot of resources into the draft, and I want to see more sample size. But so far, good how they performed against Cincinnati. But it kind of feels like this Ravens offense, unlike Cincinnati, can kind of beat you any way they want.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm confident in the Ravens is the other side of the ball. I trust that their defense is going to give the Browns O-line fit. So the Browns' strength of their O-line is interior. It's been forever. Probably the worst tackle situation they've been in for years. The often injured Jack Conklin, DeJuan Jones, average at best. And I wonder what's going to happen if Joe Flacco's under like a lot of pressure. I think he could be forced into a couple of mistakes. I don't blame him for his 2 picks last week. If you watched it, it was like off tipped receivers' hands. But listen, the reason that I don't want Baltimore, even though they're projected to be like a 28.6% ownership share this week, I like to map out what are the future spots, and I've got them like week 3 home Detroit, week 4 home against Houston, week 6 home against the Rams, week 8 home versus Chicago. There's literally like 9 other spots where you can take Baltimore. So I understand why people are going to, flee onto this island out of fear. I think there's other options that we can go with, but Baltimore, I think if you're taking them, you're going to be pretty comfortable.
Yeah, you missed a great pun there. People flocking to Baltimore in terms of Survivor this week. You had one more team, though, that you wanted to touch on. Also, it's important that you bring up the future value. I'm curious quickly, I guess, before we touch on the team, how much do you – I don't want to say how much do you value future value, but, like, sometimes it's just better to just survive, right? The goal is to survive and win. But if you're like the toughest feeling in Survivor is having one of these good teams in the hopper later down the stretch and not being able to use them and being eliminated. So like obviously, I guess you value future value a ton. Your game theory is what you care about the most.
What's the saying? Smoke them if you got them, right? It's that theory of don't let it go to waste. There's 2 teams in this week's projected games that have no future value. One that I'm comfortable with and one that I'm not, and I'll explain the methodology behind it. But the next game is the Arizona Cardinals. Right now they're -7 at home against Carolina. This is an interesting game because neither offense looked as good as we wanted last week, but Carolina's looked incredibly bad. Their defense looked just as bad as well, though. Let's start off with Arizona's side of the ball. Like they gave up 5 sacks, and their O-line looked quite iffy, but if there's ever a get-right spot for every single team in the NFL with a bad O-line, it's the game against Carolina. Outside of Derek Brown, their D-line doesn't scare you. Add in, like, Tershawn Wharton was their big free agent signing. He's had 2 DNPs. It's trending that he won't go. ETN went off for 150 yards against him, and I can see Arizona's run game having a lot of success. And Carolina's got good corners, so I'm like, this is a Trey McBride game. I don't think that they want to exactly test him. On the other side of the ball, I'm watching to see if Ike Ekwonu's back. I think that would be big. If next week we're talking about why Carolina won, it's going to be because Chuba Hubbard had a really good game. Just one of those pound the rock games. Because outside of that, I don't like Carolina's prospects in the pass game, but there is an intriguing matchup for me. I really want to see Tet McMillan and Will Johnson, who are like the 2 best rookies at their position in week 1. Will Johnson was the 2nd rated cornerback on PFF this week, only behind Sauce Gardner. That being said, Arizona has projected 13.7% ownership this week. I think part of that's because a lot of them was taken last week. But if you don't take them here, it's either week 5 at home against Tennessee or week 16 home against Atlanta, which makes Arizona, not only do I feel strong with the handicap, there's not much future value.
Yeah, no, that's a great point there with the future value. Also, Tennessee, I mean, that's like that. Like you mentioned, that's when you take them. We don't know how. I feel like it's easy to throw out that, or not easy to throw out that game, but look at that first game for Cam Ward and be like, this team might not be it. But it was against the best defense in the league. How are they going to look against lesser opponents, right? This Arizona defense is nothing like that Denver defense. So you might not even, might come week 5 and you might have that future value kind of dwindled a little bit when you have Tennessee sitting there. George, I actually like Arizona. I'm going to not do Baltimore, but I'm going to keep Arizona in my pocket as one of the potential
For our
picks.
picks, I like
for
that.
this
I'm
week.
with you. I don't want to take Baltimore either. Let's put Arizona to the side here.
Arizona in the pocket, just like Will Johnson will be putting Tet McMillan in his pocket during this game. Let's get to the games that you feel like are potential landmines. You have a couple ones here. I mean, there's a couple 6-ish point spreads. Chicago, Detroit, very clear landmine there. Two big question marks with those two games. Buffalo, New York, Rams, Tennessee, Giants, Dallas. Which games do you want to start with here?
So let's start with Rams and Tennessee. This game's interesting for me as far as gaining information goes because I want to learn more about the Rams defense and more about the Titans offense. Mm-hmm. And when the Rams get to play an optimal game scenario of playing Houston and who had in-game O-line injuries, I still don't know yet about the Rams defense. Mm-hmm. And the Titans, like with the most brutal spot on the road against Denver in Cam Ward's first game, I also don't know about Tennessee. So there's still a lot of question marks there. I worry about how the interior of the Rams O-line will hold up against the strength of this Titans defense. Jeffrey Simmons, Sebastian Joseph Day, and nose tackle DeFondre Sweat. I know he's missed 2 practices, so I'm watching that this week. That is the strength of their defense. So I wonder if the Rams have some issues. That being said, I think this is the Puka Nacua game. He looked incredible last week, and I don't know that the Titans have anybody that can track him across the field. On the other side of the ball, Titans O-line's also banged up, and that's the strength of the Rams defense. It looks like J.C. Latham's probably not going to go. So I'm curious what would happen if Cam Ward is under pressure a lot again. I was teetering between game of comfort and a potential landmine, and I just landed in this category. But if someone took the Rams, I'd understand why they'd feel comfortable. They're projected at 13% ownership this week, but there's some future spots for them. The one I'm signaling out specifically is week 9 at home against New Orleans. I think that's the best, most optimal spot to take them. But Flep brought up an interesting point when we were discussing Survivor. He said, the earlier you can take the Rams could be the better because you just don't know where Stafford's back is going to end up with. Yeah,
that's a great point there. I was. This is the one game where I was saying, hey, maybe you could put it in another category, in that more comfortable category. I think we'd have a different opinion on this game come tomorrow once we have that Friday practice reports out and we have like a little bit more signal on what's happening with these guards for the Rams, what's happening with the Titans as well. Because there's a big swing here, right? Both guards are in for the Rams. If Sweat's out for the Titans and Latham looks to be out already for the Titans as well, that's a massive swing in favor of the Rams. But then if the inverse happens, you're probably looking at, I don't know if it'll move the market, but like in terms of confidence for the Rams here, you get a little bit more.
You said market. Speaking of, it's bounced from like Rams -5 to 6, and then there was buyback. So there's some disagreement in the market as well as where this thing's going to land.
All right, let's power through here. Let's move on to Buffalo at New York. I've been like yapping up the New York Jets offense this entire week because I think I haven't seen a New York Jets offense this good in like what feels like my lifetime. Like they usually don't look this good for me. It's a weird thing seeing those green jerseys march down the field like the way that they are. And plus Justin Fields, I mean, he just looks a lot better, looks a lot more comfortable with this offense. If you told me that the Jets Steelers would be putting up a total of 60 in the year of 2025, I would not believe you. But here we are. Jets at Buffalo at Bills at the New York Jets. Give me a breakdown of this game. Why do you feel like this is a landmine spot for the Bills here?
I have 2 thoughts happening in my head at the same time. The Jets offense looked really good against a Pittsburgh defense that is far better than Buffalo's defense. Yeah. And the other thought is, but Josh Allen. So, like, on the Jets side of the ball, Buffalo's defense, like, they had 2 major problems. Every Raven wide receiver looked open, and no one on Buffalo could tackle. It's like an awful recipe, unless you're going to rely on turnovers, which maybe that's the game plan. That's what swung the game. The Jets look really good running the ball and surprisingly throwing the ball, but the one, I'm an O-line, like if you know me, I love O-lines, and Armand Membu, their first round pick, he was the number 1 tackle on PFF last week. He was tossing guys around. He looked like a man amongst boys. And also no Ed Oliver on the interior for Buffalo's D-line. I think there's some trouble spots there. I think the Jets will move the ball. Ultimately, I worry that the game will be close and Josh Allen will just win because that's what he does. That's the fear in this spot. So I like to avoid Buffalo. They're going to be low projected ownership, 5.9%.
Yeah.
And part of that is because they also have a lot of future value.
Oh.
The next 3 games are at home versus Miami, versus New Orleans, versus New England. They also got a game at Carolina, another game against Miami, another game against Cleveland. You're going to find multiple spots for Buffalo, just like Baltimore.
Yeah, I feel like if you want to almost save Buffalo for those couple of that cluster of weeks you mentioned there, and I feel like with the amount of 6.5 spreads there are for this week, you probably want to wait a little bit to use Buffalo. And again, this New York Jets, big question mark of a team. I think they look good, and this Buffalo Bills defense needs to figure it the fuck out. But it's fun from a watching perspective. Anyways, let's move on. We have 2 more games you want to talk about. Yeah. Chicago, Detroit. I can listen. I can tell you all the reasons why the Chicago Detroit game's a landmine. But George, I'll let you take the field here.
Okay, this game has a lot more variance now after seeing how good Green Bay looked last night. A lot of people didn't upgrade Green Bay in market. They were like choosing to downgrade Detroit because of like the Ben Johnson effect. Maybe Green Bay's defense is really good, and maybe Detroit line is still a good offense and might beat down Chicago. I don't know the exact answer here, but this game, there's a lot of uncertainty for me. Like, I make the line 5, and I should be betting Chicago +6, +6.5, but I'm uncertain in this game. The where does that leave us? The injury I'm watching for Detroit is Taylor Decker. He hasn't practiced this week. How will their O-line look? That being said, I think the Lions will do a better job running the ball. Like, Jordan Mason looked good running the ball against Chicago, and I think they're going to have some success. And also, the Bears are still chock full of injuries at corner. With Kyler Gordon hasn't practiced and TJ Edwards is limited. I think there's opportunities for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams to eat. But on the other side of the ball, I'm going to say something controversial. I didn't think the Bears offense looked as bad as people left the game. People always remember the end feeling, like what they went home with. But there was moments and glimpses that I thought that if Chicago just tightens up a little, makes a couple throws. I thought a lot of their routes were intricate. Guys were open. They have some interesting weapons. And outside of Brian Branch in the secondary, I don't know that Detroit is like this defense that was projected. That coupled in with like the fact that they're only a 4.2% ownership this week, I see a lot of future value. They're going to be week 4 at home against Cleveland, week 12 home against the Giants, week 14 home against Dallas, week 16 home against Pittsburgh. I don't know how you can comfortably like jump in when there's still a lot of question marks on both teams.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you, obviously, and people are going to like roll their eyes when I say this, but like if Caleb Williams just fixes his accuracy, like this is a scary spot for Detroit here, right? Like if he was able to hit 2 or 3 throws in the Minnesota Vikings game, I think people would have a completely different opinion of the game. Plus, on top of that, that Vikings defense, people are almost treating it as like they're not that great of a defense when they're like a top 5 unit in the league with Brian Flores, and Brian Flores arguably being the best defensive coordinator in the league. So kind of a different opposition here for the Chicago Bears, which could be a landmine spot for the Detroit Lions. Finally, you have the Giants at Dallas, which we've seen like a lot of market movement on, right? We've seen that number dwindle all the way down, even though it looks like the Giants will struggle to score a touchdown this year. Sorry, Jacob.
No, you're right. I mean, Russ is starting, bro.
But
even Dable doesn't trust him.
Albeit against a much easier opponent this week in the Dallas Cowboys defense. So yeah, we've seen that number open up at I think around 6.5, and it's down all the way to -4.5, juiced -120 at FanDuel's for the Cowboys here. So Dallas Cowboys landmine. George, tell us why.
It's odd. They both lost last week, but their perceptions have drastically changed. Like the Dallas perception rose after their performance in their loss, and the Giants perception fell. And I say perception because, again, I think I want to know a little bit more. Let's start with Dallas on offense. I thought the O-line played really well against the Eagles. I think they limited the pressure. That being said, I think the Giants D-line is far better than this version of Philadelphia's D-line. So especially without Jalen Carter, who didn't play, I feel like that's the key. If they can block, then I don't know how the Giants cover CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Terrence Ferguson. It feels like that's the key. On the other side of the ball, I actually think the Giants might have some success as well. The O-line isn't good, but this Dallas pass rush was awful. And I don't know that they're going to get pressure. And if they don't, and Deron Bland's not there, this could be the Malik Neighbors game. He could absolutely cook. And then Theo Johnson, an athletic tight end that I'm high on, I think he could have a sneaky good game because do you remember how
Yes.
Philly just kept peppering Goddard? I think there's some vulnerabilities covering the tight end.
Okay.
And if Russ can avoid the big turnover, I think that's the key. Now, as an aside, I like the over in this game.
Yeah.
But here's the case for Dallas. Truly, there's no future value. When I initially made my map, I did not have Dallas in my map anywhere. They're only a favorite in like 2 other games as of right now, based on projected spreads the rest of the year. This is it. If you want to get cute, this is the audible. Right now, they're projecting at 15.7% ownership. So I think a lot of people are making that audible. And this is, Jason, where I've always gotten myself in trouble. Is when I had a strategy and I'm like, and I'd make a last minute audible. But I think Dallas worries me a little bit more than everybody else thinks.
Yeah, I agree with that. And with the way that the market's moving and with so many question marks around both these teams. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys offense did look pretty good. I was kind of low on them coming in this year. They used a lot of pre-snap motion, which was very exciting to see. But I think these are the spots, George, like you mentioned, that people get on early where they feel like there's no future value on the team. So they almost have to pick this team. Yeah. But we know how this works. Like you mentioned with the LA Rams, right? You feel like you want to take the Rams early for the inverse reason where we don't know what Stafford's going to look like. Guess what? We don't know what's going to happen with these quarterback situations down the road. There could be a player getting hurt. There could be a multitude of factors which will shift the future value in a given week of a team depending on like what happens in injury. So I want to stay off Dallas. I think the 2 teams that you've convinced me on here, George, are the LA Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm stuck in the middle of it. Maybe we get the chat to help us while we talk through this. 1 in the chat if we want the Arizona Cardinals, 2 in the chat if we want the LA Rams. George, if you had to pick between the 2, it seems like you would lean Cardinals.
Well, here I would consider 2 things. Number 1 is Arizona is at home. And I believe Carolina is the worst out of the 4 teams being discussed.
Yep.
And then the other thing is that this is it. This is the spot for Arizona. If you didn't take them last week, like we could get to week 9, still be alive, and then we get that Rams juicy spot against New Orleans where the Rams are at home. I like Arizona in this spot. I'm like 75% comfortable on the Rams. I think both teams are going to win. That's the truth.
All right, we're seeing a couple more 1s than 2s in the chat, and I think you got a good point there. I think plus the comfortability of the Rams, obviously we're looking really far ahead here, coming off a bye going into New Orleans will like kind of quell my worries about that back issue for Matthew Stafford because, hopefully if anything does happen, he can use that extra week's rest to help things out.
Jason, what if Cam Ward is Peyton Manning?
Okay. All right. Enough of that. We're going to lock in the Arizona Cardinals. That's going to be our survivor pick against the Carolina Panthers. I am so sorry, Eric. That's 2 weeks in a row we're targeting the Panthers. But
is that, are we going back to the well? We're just going to fade the Panthers every week?
I didn't realize that either. That's funny.
I feel really bad, but maybe I'll buy him a bottle or something. I don't know.
Who are they playing next week? Let's lock in week 3 as well. Atlanta, Carolina. That one might be a little more tricky.
You honestly might want to pick that too.
Maybe. We'll see. Anyways, if you want to know who we're going to pick next week, tune in with us next week. Hopefully we're still sticking around. George, appreciate you joining us today. Quickly, before you go, I know we're supposed to get out of here very soon. I forgot about this. Canelo fight. Who you got? Why? Tell me quickly about it. Give the audience something here.
All right. So the big thing is Canelo is the biggest draw in boxing, and he forced Bud Crawford to come up to his weight. Bud has been a unified champion in 2 divisions. The last one was 147. He moved up to 154, fought 1 fight against Madrimov and didn't look good. So the question is, could Bud put on the weight so that he doesn't get rocked by Canelo while still not giving up a lot of his good things like footwork and precision and speed and the awkward angles? My mind says Canelo. My heart says Bud. You know what? Let's just go with it, dog. Let's go. I think Bud Crawford is one of the best boxers of all time.
Yeah.
And this is the legacy fight. If he beats Canelo here, he starts getting discussed in the all-time greatest category. So give me Bud Crawford.
All right. Bud Crawford right now, plus 142 on the money line over at FanDuel. George, I'm going to force this on you. Is this going to be within the distance or is this going to be Crawford on points?
Oh, Crawford's not dropping Canelo. It's just Canelo's never been knocked out. I don't even think he's been knocked down. This is going to be Bud by decision.
All right, Bud by decision plus 195. Official pick from George. So if it loses,
Why not?
Remember, go. His Twitter handle is at George Silfidis, TSILFIDIS. You can yell at him on Twitter if he loses.
If Canelo wins, we forget about it. But if Bud wins, I want this to be clipped and fired out. Okay,
it's like the Edrin Cooper anytime touchdown.
I'm not
bet,
clipping
okay,
it.
George?
Hey man, if you want it clipped, you gotta get yourself. You're either doing it or somebody else is doing it.
All right.
If it loses, but somebody might be able to come to me.
All right, George, appreciate it. We'll let you get out of here. All right. Talk soon, George. See ya.
Take care.
All right. That was it. Great show today. Do us a favor before you head out here, smash the like button. Went a little bit over time. First time we've done that though. 1:01 p.m. over an hour long.
Just
show.
having too much fun, man.
George.
Too much fun with G-Stack George.
George and I like to yap a lot about Survivor. If you've ever been in the office with us, I don't know why people have, but Jacob can tell you how much we talk, how much we don't work and talk about football instead.
Yeah, you guys don't do a lot of work once George works, then when you show up, it's over. You're that bad kid at school that needs to be in like the corner by himself.
All right, I'll take that. All right, do us a favor, smash that like button on the way out. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as well. It goes a long way for us here in the channel. And then a reminder, one more time for the people in the back, we're 5 subscribers away from 3,800 subscribers on this YouTube channel. Tell 5 friends. If all of you guys tell 5 friends right now to subscribe, we'll clear that number by a lot. So appreciate it. And yeah, this has been the Friday edition of the Hammer Daily. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Quickly before we go, let me preview what we have coming up on Monday. We got Corby Craig batting leadoff. We're going to be talking a little bit about college football the week that was. Drunken Goon coming on to talk a little bit more soccer. So if you like some soccer, you're going to want to tune into that show. And then, of course, Judah Fort King coming in, recap Sunday football, talk Monday Night Football, and give out his patented SGP. It's not really patented. I don't know why I said that. But his famous SGPs that he loves to hit. So anyways, if you want to do that, tune into the show on Monday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.